And we are recording. Hi there, YouTube. Today we are here for the, what is this, fourth round, I think, of the RBY Triple Threat Tournament, featuring games for RBY RBY Tradebacks OU, and RBY Stadium OU. Today I'm playing against the organizer of the tournament, and who I believe is one of the mods for RBY in general in Phoopes. So very excited for that. No idea if I'm saying it right. Hope I am. But yeah, so I was originally planning to do another live recording of the battles as I commentated it, but unfortunately my power went out in the middle of game 2. So not only was I shaken by that, I also lost the recording of what I had been recording for game 1. Which is a real shame because I think it was actually really good, and the power going out was definitely unfortunate for this. But I still played really well at first, I think, although I made some really big misplays over the course of this set. But we're gonna go over that now. So let's begin. Yeah, let's go. So game 1 was RBY OU. I went back to the team I used in game 1, which is the very basic bish RBY OU team. The only unique thing about it, I guess, is that Executor was in the back as opposed to being a lead. Here you see me get very lucky over the course of multiple turns in terms of not getting frozen. And this is also sort of a game that really teaches me that I need to be a lot better about taking advantage of rest. Because rest is such a powerful move with such a strong like opportunity for me whenever it happens. So like I do need to get better about taking advantage of those. The fact that this Jinx sticks around the whole game makes it actually pretty dangerous, although Chansey, like, obviously stonewalls every special attacker in the game. And so you see, early on, a big thing about this game is that I end up revealing all of my Pokemon while he ends up keeping pretty much only his first 2 revealed as he's trying to weaken my team. Here you see I was trying to suss out his Starmie's moveset. Because once I saw Thunderbolt, I know that I could use Executor to wall it to Kingdom Come. But of course, even Chansey can get bogged down by repeated special drops. So you see here at this point, I've revealed 5 of my 6 Pokemon, while he has only revealed 2, as he's really sort of sticking to Starmie and Jinx to weaken me. But eventually, due to full para shenanigans, I do get the KO on his Starmie, which was obviously very lucky for me, but also you know, it's RBY, so that happens. So now I'm in a situation where I'm attempting to use my Tauros to break through. One thing I found about me playing RBY is that I really enjoy using my Tauros early game to break through the opponent's team, as opposed to saving it for like late game. But that's just me. I get kind of lucky with the crits here on Snorlax, so I definitely got lucky in this game. But also, I do feel like I put myself in a pretty good position to get lucky due to the amount of times that I bring my Tauros in. Here we see some more Chansey shenanigans as I end up stalling Jinx out of all of its blizzards. Yeah. Here in particular, what I'm aiming for is getting his Jinx to rest, so that way I can bring in Tauros again on a safe turn to start clicking Body Slam. Oh wait, no, this time it just KO Jinx, yeah. And here's actually a turn that I do want to talk a lot about. So here's my Chansey at 63%. I don't know what he has on the back, and he's at his Tauros. At this point, my Chansey's in so much danger here. If he just straight up Hyper Beams, which is very dangerous for him because if he thuds into like a Rhydon in the back, which is what I have, or Dendar, even worse, or just like Hyper Beams into a still healthy Executor or Snorlax, he's in trouble. But he could also just Body Slam, and if he gets the crit, I'm done. So what I end up doing here is deciding that, okay, my Chansey is in danger, but if his Tauros is T-Waved, I am in such a good position because now my Tauros fears nothing. Because I'll always win the speed ties. So I should just go for the Thunder Wave and get it. If Chansey goes down, then I can bring in my own Tauros for a Tauros War, or threaten to sleep with Executor. But if I survive and get this T-Wave off, that is so good for me. And there's nothing on his team that I truly need Chansey for. Like, even anything he had in the back at this point, even if it was like a Zapdos, I can handle that. If it was a second Psychic type, Executor should be able to handle it. Although I really wouldn't expect him to have 3 Psychics on one team. He could, but I don't really expect it. Slowbro Executor should be able to some combination of Sleep or Boom on. So, like, I think I'm in a pretty good position here, even if Chansey goes down. So that is why I go for the T-Wave here. Because if I get it off, then I'm in the best position in the world. Yeah. So I sack my Starmie here just to make sure I get a completely free switch to Executor. And I predict the Tauros there and go for a Psychic. And as you see here, I'm just getting the chip on the Tauros I need. I choose to sack Chansey as opposed to sacking Executor, because it can still, if Chansey gets paralyzed, it can still, it can boom or sleep it. And I miss that, and he misses that Thunder Wave, which is really good for him. But like I said, Alakazam, I could trade for with Snorlax or Rhydon, so I was still in a fine position, even though that was what he had in the back. And yeah, so game 1 goes to me. I definitely got really lucky early on with that one, with how I took out the Starmie and getting the crits on the Snorlax. But also, I brought in my Tauros a lot early game. I made sure it had the chance to click all those moves that it has good chances to crit. And bada bing, bada boom, Death March. So yeah, that's game 1. I'm really proud of how I played it, although I think I fumbled around a little bit too much in the early game, like switching around, going for turns. I definitely understand why people run Double Edge on Executor instead of Boom or Sunspore sometimes. Now that I'm actually using it a little bit more, but I still think I like Sunspore the most, but yeah, so definitely I really enjoyed this game. Really felt like I played well in it, and lots of fun. And now game 2 is where we're playing trade backs. I'm using the same team as I did last week with the Tangela. And here we go. So turn 1, he's leading with Lovely Kiss Lax. I decided to just let him do it. It's fine, I'll pair the Lax so I can break through it later. And here I go to Aerodactyl. So here's the cool thing about Aerodactyl and trade back specifically, is that it has Earthquake. So it has a good spammable move in this tier that doesn't cut into its own health. So Earthquake Aerodactyl, Hyper Beam is Hyper Beam. And this Aerodactyl has Sky Attack. So the thing about Sky Attack Aerodactyl is that if your opponent switches around it, it can deal a lot of damage due to its high crit rate and You know, the fact that flying type is kind of hard to resist in RBY unless you have a Zapdos or a unless you have Zapdos or Rhydon. I guess Jolteon too, but Jolteon's afraid of Earthquake if it comes in. But here's the thing, is that I have Tangela for the Rhydon and Rhydon for the Zapdos. So if those people come in and Sky Attack brings them out early, then that's just good information to me, and I have responses. And in addition to that, because there are so many Lovely Kiss Snorlax in this tier, which tend to not have room for special moves as often, they do sometimes, but they don't as often have the room for it, it means that Aerodactyl is a pretty good response to Snorlax in that situation. Yeah, so Aerodactyl goes for Sky Attack, and see, it does 39% to a Snorlax, which is pretty good. He's spamming his body spams. He does get a full para, which means that Aerodactyl's in a bit of a weaker position for the rest of the game, but then it gets the crit Sky Attack and KOs. So Aerodactyl's got a high crit rate. That's not exactly out of the realm of possibility, but worth noting that I got pretty lucky with that. So now I have my Chansey. I Seismic Toss a Hypno. I get pretty lucky with some of the full paralysis rolls. Here, but also, you know, I'm Seismic Tossing a Hypno. I'm a Chansey, so I'm pretty safe here, even though it's Amnesia. Man, I love Amnesia Hypno. It's so good. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is to try and get in... so I want to make sure that I do my double switch on the right turn as he goes for rest. And I do get it. Yeah, so now I'm, once again, like in last game, I'm in a position where I can just spam body spam. I got lucky with the crit there, which means I didn't have to risk a, And I also got really lucky with that crit there. It means I didn't get paired on my own Tauros. But also, you know, that's kind of the risk of responding to Tauros. We trade paras on the Chansey. Kind of a bad move because it means my Tangela can't sleep it later, but also, you know, paraing Chansey is a good thing. And also at +6, I do eventually beat Tangela. Beat it with Tangela. Oh, this is also, if you notice, my plays did a little bit worse at this point. And that's because I'm playing on my phone in the other room, kind of freaked out over the power outage, so... Yeah. So this point right here is a huge moment. Because my power goes out, I'm stressing, the world is burning, and nothing is fun anymore. So... I don't want to exclusively blame my bad plays on the fact that the power went out and I was, like, you know, thrown off my game. But also, I definitely do not feel proud of any of these plays, and I should have done better. Yeah. So here at this point, I'm just trading a few moves with Chansey, trying to get to a point where I can get her to double switch in. Which is the same thing he does, and he succeeds on the good double switch because I get fully paired, so I don't get my recovery. Not the hugest thing, because against special attackers, Chansey can still soft-boiled all day, but worth noting as unfortunate. I bring in Tauros to have myself a good old Tauros war, and because I come in on the Hyper Beam, I did a free turn or recharge. So here is my first big mistake of this game, which is, I should Hyper Beam here for absolutely free. I guaranteed KO him, and he cannot move because he's at 44%. I don't know why I clicked Body Spam, because it's a speed tie on the next turn, which I can lose, which I did. I then respond to the full health Rhydon. He is also then revealed to be Surf, which doesn't super matter because Blizzard... The difference between Surf and Blizzard damage is decent, but because I kept my Rhydon at full health anyway, it didn't... I survived it and got lucky. But yeah, so that took the wind out of my sails. Even more health loss on the Rhydon than I expected. And here is my second bid mistake, in going to Tangela. Because what happens here is, my line of thinking is that, okay, so he has a Hypno, he can KO me or go for rest. If I did Paras on Chansey is parried, and if I did a para on whatever's in the last slot, Rhydon can sweep, even from such low health. So I want to keep my Rhydon alive. So I'm going to go to Tangela as he rests, and then I can Amnesia up and beat him after he wakes up, and I put him to sleep with Sleep Powder. That's kind of my, that's my, like, thought process at this point. And instead, what happens is he just goes for damage, and has Ice Punch so he can do even more damage. And so I throw away my Tangela for absolutely nothing. And get Revenge Killed by Persian. So that is a case of where I'm like, okay, all I have... So this is a case where I'm trying to take advantage of him resting, and he just doesn't do it because... why should he? He's just stacking the Hypno. So that is 100% me playing like an idiot. That is me absolutely throwing away this game. When I should have just sacked the air... When what I should have done is sacked the Aerodactyl. Because if he went for rest, I could threaten with repeated Hyper Beams or Earthquakes or whatnot. I could even Agility up too, to make sure he knows that, like, he can't just, you know, clown on me with Chansey or whatever. So I should have sacked the Aerodactyl. And then brought in Tangela to Amnesia, Mega Drain, Sleep Powder, the whole 9 yards. That's what I should have done. Instead, I let my last full health Mon go down, and I lose from here. I did a good double switch, which lets me take out the Chansey. But also, like, you know, at this point, it's pretty much over for me. I technically have one win condition if if Persian full paras like 20 million times. So I go for it, just in case, because, you know, other stuff has happened. So if I wake up and he full paras like 3 times while I just wake up immediately, I could have won that. That's the only win condition, though, and obviously it doesn't happen. But I went for it anyway. But yeah, so me playing against that Hypno was atrocious. Yeah, I 100% threw that battle away like nothing. And I will say that part of that is because of the power outage, but also I should have known better. I should not have given him that damage on my last full health Pokemon. So, like, 100% my fault there. "100% my fault." And now, in our last slot is Stadium OU. Now, this game I felt fairly proud of, but I made some pretty big mistakes mid to late game. And also, the luck decidedly went in not my favor this game. But the main reason I lost was due to misplays. Specifically, so from the outset here, when I look at his team, I can see that Jolteon doesn't have a lot of setup opportunities, because it gets 2-hit KO'd by... Because it gets 2-hit KO'd by those guys. And everything else threatens a para on it. So the only opportunity it has for setting up in this game is on a sleeping Executor, which I do try to get it to sleep so I can use Jolteon to set up. It just doesn't really happen. Yeah, also for noting, there might be a few differences between this and the version of the team I have in my computer builder, because, you know, I'm playing on my phone because the power went out. But yeah, so I lead Zapdos just because it, you know, matches up pretty well against everything. Much better than the previous version of this team with Aerodactyl, where nothing really matched up well in a lead position. So that's why I changed it to Zapdos. So here I decide to just get some amount of chip damage on the Chansey. before I rest. And Zapdos will never wake up because I don't, it doesn't really defensively answer too much on this team beside Executor, and it's got double-edged spoilers, so yeah, I let my Persian get paralyzed, which in my opinion is another example of me just making bad plays. So here's what I've learned about tradebacks. In tradebacks, just use substitute. The loss of that 25 hit points, especially on the type of Pokemon you would use substitute on, like a frail Persian or whatever, is not that big a deal. Just take the sub. Because if they predict it, you lose 25 hit points, you know, whatever, same position as before. But if you get it, that is such a huge benefit to be able to slash twice for free. But I am thinking, okay, but like my thought process is that sub is so ubiquitous that I might as well just slash, because there's no way he's going to Thunder Wave into a subbing Persian. That is me overthinking it and going for a play that I didn't need to, especially because, remember, I don't need Persian's health because I'm looking for a sweep with Jolteon in the back. So I should have just subbed. Also, for the record, I don't have sub on Jolteon because I have a Pin Missile for Executor. So that makes it harder to set up, but it also makes me more threatening to even like a fully healthy team. And turns the Executor itself into setup fodder while it's asleep. So, here or there. But yeah, so this is just a huge misplay on my part, where I let Persian get paralyzed for nothing, and yeah, I did a good sub on the soft boil, but yeah, so now he can just safely soft boil until I full para, at which point he can finish me off. Yeah, so now Snorlax comes in, and I basically just have to body slam to like crit through the reflect. Unfortunately, that's really the only things I can do against Chansey in this position because I don't want to get my Jolteon paralyzed. And I mean, I eventually get the crit because of course I do. You're, you know, staying against the Snorlax for hours and hours, but he also gets the chip on me that I need to force me to rest in the time it takes for me to take out his Chansey. So I go into Starmie on Edgy here. I go for the Blizzard, dodge a Stun Spore, which is very lucky for me. But it also isn't the biggest deal because that means I can just do this. So I also get fully paralyzed before I can para the Starmie with Thunder Wave. Very unfortunate because it now means that everything else is going to have a harder time with it. But I mean, hey, that's Pokemon, it happens. Yeah, so here you see me doing some shenanigans. I decide to use Starmie to try and wake up, or Snorlax try and wake up on Starmie. So I get full parad, I do get the Body Slam para on Starmie, which is nice to sort of make up for the para situation earlier. Not perfect, obviously, but you know, I still got it eventually at least. And then I get lucky to break through the, oh yeah, okay. So that is an opportunity where I actually use Starmie. Okay, so this is actually a good turn in my opinion. So that way I'm not at risk at getting frozen by his repeated blizzards. I swap into Jolteon to pull the Thunder Wave to get Chansey full parad, so I don't have to worry about blizzard freezes. That is technically a good play, but also considering the fact that I'm already in the back foot here, because of losing my Persian so early. You could also argue that I definitely should have not done that, because it's better to just chance missing those 3 freezes and have a statusless Chansey than to purposely para myself. But I'm sure you can kind of go either way on that. So that's a play that I maybe should have done different, but I did want to talk about it. Yeah, so here I'm using Chansey to bully Starmie. Specifically what I want to do is I want to bring in Jolteon, or what is it I'm going to do here? Well, I ended up taking down the Starmie through multiple full paras, so, you know, lucky enough for me. Executor comes in. I am fearing the boom right here. Not all Executors run boom in a stadium, but enough of them do. And so now, I go for Focus Energy Sweeps. It is definitely early, unfortunately. Like, I'm guaranteed not to get the sweep because I can't survive Snorlax and Tauros. Like, I wall Zap. Like, I don't know why he does Zapdos first here. Oh, to get the Thunder Wave so he doesn't take any damage on Tauros. That's right. So, like, I am able to get through 2 whole Pokemon on his team with Jolteon. But at that point, it's kind of dead weight, so I div it up. Snorlax comes in. I actually get lucky on that full para because what I need to do here is boom on the Tauros to take it out, because that's really my only tool left for it. And he's double-edged Executor, so he was able to finish off my Starmie for free. I lose my Snorlax to Psychic Special Drops. Yeah, so I just kind of play out this endgame pretty badly. What I should have done is gone to Zapdos and tried to wake up on Executor here. And then save my Snorlax to hopefully not get critted by the Tauros and to boom on it. That's what I should have done. Now at this point, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Basically, I have a Chansey's in against Executor. I'm paralyzed. I'm trying to just kind of break through all of its rests. Unfortunately, the combination of crits and special drops don't let me do this. Like, the combination of crits, special drops, and full paras just don't let me do this. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's just kind of, you know, how RBY goes. I tried to reset it a couple times, but the full para gets me and I go down. So I definitely should have had Zapdos wake up on the Executor. Yeah, what I should have done is woken up Zapdos on Executor, got Chansey out at a point while I was on high health, woken up on it, KO'd it with Drill Peck, and then Chansey could try to 1v1 the Tauros with Reflect. That's how I should have played that endgame, but, you know, live and learn. My thought process was that the odds were in my favor because, like, you know, Chansey's, like, invincible to special hits, and if he double edges, he doesn't take a ton of recoil. So, you know, I can use all my soft boils and ice beams. But in hindsight, the odds were definitely not in my favor in that situation, so I should have just gone to Zapdos and woken up on him. So, lost the 3-1. So then I organized the tournament, so I guess, you know, that's fair. I won, like, the real RBY game on him, which was, you know, really cool. But also, considering trade backs is my favorite tier here, really disappointed in how I threw that game away. And also pretty disappointed in how I threw the stadium game away. So, my biggest points for myself in this are for when you're playing Stadium. Remember that you should just sub. Like, 99% of the times, if you're, like, up against a Chansey or whatever, you should just sub. Especially because, like, you know, on my Jolteon, I did not have a way to deal with that paralysis later. And I didn't have a reliable way to paralyze Tauros, because remember, the point of this game is to, or this team is to outspeed the opponents just naturally. So, yeah. So, definitely should just sub. That's my lesson there. Just sub. And then for trade backs, my biggest lesson for myself is that I should have kept my Tangela healthy, obviously. I should have just Hyper Beamed the Tauros, obviously. I made a lot of bad plays in that game. Mostly, remember to A, KO the Pokemon when you have a chance, obviously. And just slightly less obviously, always remember that your opponent can just naturally sack something. And so, don't try to play around the danger of a Pokemon that your opponent's going to sack so much that you give up one of your Pokemon. There's the message there. And then I made a few, and then for this game, I need to remind myself that in the early game, well, I do want to make the use out of my breaker like Tauros early on. You know, be careful about revealing too much right off the bat. And yeah, so that's my round 4. Definitely had some really good play from me, also had some really bad play from me, but definitely a ton of fun, so big thank you to Phoopes for the games, and yeah, that'll be it for me. Remember to check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/y_rock, where you can see me stream. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and bye there, YouTube.